Welcome to Heidi Relationships. Today, we'll read some more stories from Reddit. But before we start, I would really appreciate if you could subscribe to the channel, like the video if you enjoyed it, and maybe leave a comment down below. That would help the channel a lot. Thank you very much in advance.
The first one is titled, Mother-in-law wants my unborn child to call her mom. My mother-in-law, 57F, told me she wants my 25F unborn child to call her mom. Her reasoning, I am more important to my son than you. There's only one thing you can give him that I can't. She also insists that she could have a baby too if she wanted. I'm not special for being pregnant. This makes no sense to me, but she's bat crap crazy to me at this point. She genuinely believes that I stole her son from her and don't deserve to have my own child refer to me as mom. Please help, I'm going crazy. A user in the comments said, in my opinion the comments of your mill are the same than saying that the one and only thing she can't give to her son is sex. Even if she could get pregnant at this age, it should be an extremely stupid thing to do. It's a very disturbing way to compete with you. Your son needs to stand for his wife and son, that's what parents do. If he is unable or not willing to do so, he would be an unfit father, just using you as an incubator for the unhealthy and unrealistic expectations of his mommy dear. You need to protect yourself and your kid. If he doesn't stand for you and for himself, he will be unable to raise a child. Sorry if what I said sounds hard, but in my experience this is the reality you are confronting. Try to speak calmly and firmly about what has to be done. If he won't listen, run away for your sanity and your safety. Your kid will have a mother and that's you and nobody else. Your husband will decide if he will be a father or a mama's boy. Another user said, talk to him about it and put your foot down because this will burn you out without change. Tell him this is not a practical or a sustainable long-term situation for you and him, for the baby and for you. You need an equal adult partner and you both are not in high school. You aren't going to sign up to be parented and live in fear of her tantrums forever. This also is not normal cute grandma behavior even if it is his normal. This sounds like some much deeper issue that could potentially be dangerous if left without boundaries. It's okay if Mill has a tantrum and is upset. Your priority is to protect your baby, not to MIL's feelings, and so needs to understand what that means because that should be his priority too. I would give him the ultimatum of therapy if this relationship were to go further. Even if the option of facing life without him is daunting, right now you don't have him by your side and you are doing it by yourself in a very lonely way because there's always the hope and longing that he will become someone different. You are shouldering not only the weight of your feelings and needs on your own, but his and your low and even your MILs. That weight can be crushing and crippling. If he won't change for you and your child, be kind to yourself and give yourself a way out that lets you have options. Don't close the door on potential happiness. This might be his life, but it doesn't have to be yours. The next one is titled, Update, My Mill has won. I posted previously about my Mill competing with me now that I'm pregnant and suggesting she could have a baby herself. She said the only thing I can offer my husband that she can't is children. We've been married for almost 4 years now. I would have responded to your comments and advice, but my life fell apart. Trigger warning ahead. She has officially won. I was at 14 weeks and had a very bad fall where I landed on my belly. She put her stuff all over our living room floor to store it here for some reason and I tripped on the mess. I unfortunately had a miscarriage. She was here when it happened and knew it was happening. I was texting, calling, crying, yelling from the bathroom to get his attention. He came in, saw that I was in deep trouble, but said he urgently needed to help his mom. He left. I went through the miscarriage myself. I begged him over text to come to the bathroom and help me. To hold me, to go through this with me. He finally came in a half hour later and saw the blood everywhere. He made a comment about how it was going to be a lot to clean up. He came back half an hour later with the pads and kept explaining that his mom needed him. They knew I was miscarrying, but she needed help moving things and it was urgent. She was outside when I cleaned up the bathroom and went to the kitchen for food. I was weak and struggling. She didn't make eye contact with me or talk to me at all. Probably because she knew she had won. She took my husband away from me during the most traumatic point of my life, and he went willingly. I feel so lost. He spent the night at his mom's house and left me alone. He isn't back yet. I've been alone with his kids from a different relationship, who he only gets to see 1 3-day weekend a month. He hasn't texted me and I haven't reached out either. I don't know why I wasn't important to him, why the miscarriage wasn't urgent, why he didn't want to hold me, why he won't come home. I'm so lost and alone and my heart is broken. She's probably celebrating while I'm mourning. The next one is titled, Update on My Situation. I've posted a few times, you can see my post history. I'm eternally grateful for all of your advice and emotional support during the hardest moments of my life. You've kept me strong enough to write you this update. I ended up discharged from the hospital after 24 hours and he still wasn't home. I confided in my family, and they booked me a ticket home. They were horrified that this had happened, and a little hurt that I didn't reach out when it was happening for help. I don't know why it didn't occur to me. I packed my things and flew to them. He still hadn't responded to my texts, voicemails, or calls, so I left him a handwritten note. A few days after being with my family, I get a long text from him. He said that he had to stay with his mother for the entire week after I had miscarried in our home, basically because of her. And get this, folks, she felt triggered by my miscarriage and needed his emotional support. He argued that she needed him as she and his father are divorced. During this time, he didn't want to bring me up to further cause her distress, so he went no contact with me for a week. He said he thought I was strong enough to wait for him. He thinks I've overreacted by flying home. He wants me to come home. I took your advice, folks. I prepared for his crap tea excuse and didn't let him manipulate me. I called and told him that when his mother had miscarried after he was born, she had her own husband to comfort her. While my husband left me alone and ignored me for a whole week. I told him everything you guys mentioned. It was medical neglect during a crisis, child abandonment of his own kids, my stepkids, who were supposed to be under his care, and abandonment. I could have died and was very weak when I had checked into the hospital. I was even weak when I left. I told him I needed space to heal. I was finally getting emotional support from my family and am in a safe place. I'm not ready to see him. He said that he is her only son, he had to help her. I reminded him that he was my only husband and I needed him. The miscarriage was happening to me, not her. He asked me if we were still good. Absolutely not. I was blunt and told him I didn't see our relationship repairing after what he did. His actions will haunt me for years. I cry myself to sleep every night. I miss my baby and marriage, both of them died the same day. I haven't filed, but I plan on filing for divorce when I'm ready for it. He is upset. He cried and told me I was being overly emotional because of the loss. That I wasn't in my right mind and said he'd fly out to see me and bring me home. I put my parents on the phone and let them chew him out. I don't know what they said, but he hasn't called since. He's texted a few times, but I haven't responded. I know it isn't a happy update, but I wanted everyone to know that I'm safe now. Mil can keep her son. She hasn't contacted me at all since this all happened, and it's been a blessing. I've heard from mutual friends that she is blasting me to everyone over social media, but I'm going to stay out of it for my own peace of mind. Thank you so much for caring about me and taking the time to reply and send messages with support. The next one is titled, Final Update. I see that a lot of people have followed, so I figured I'd update my situation. My parents told him off when he first called and told him not to contact me again. He has since sent me lots of texts and voicemails. They alternate between reminding me of good memories, blaming me for what happened, being angry at me for not taking him back, responding, and apologizing. I feel bad dragging my parents in the first time, so I haven't told them about these messages. I haven't responded but have read every text and heard every voicemail. I can't bring myself to block him. He's posted on social media saying he misses me and is waiting for me to come home. The post insinuates a LDR and not that we aren't together. A week ago, a neighbor, this is my childhood home, recognized him waiting outside our home and called the police. He left before they came. It made me so anxious and afraid. I am always worried that he'll be outside and peek through my window to make sure he's not, but I honestly do miss him and am still dealing with heartbreak. I loved him with all of my being, and it's taking time to come to terms with what transpired and how he treated me. It's brought up memories of other times he wasn't kind or considerate, other instances where he put others, mostly his mom, before me. I realize I was brushing off a lot of red flags. His ex has reached out a few times, the kids had a visit with their dad, and it was unusual for me to not be there. I didn't respond. His mom has never reached out to me, which makes me happy and angry. Personally, life has been tough. I see pregnant women and cry. I still have my pregnancy app and it updates me on the fruit size of the baby each week and little facts. I can't bring myself to delete it. I'm so anxious about the due date I had and how it's approaching. I have covered all the mirrors in my space. I hate seeing how flat my stomach is. I hate seeing my stomach at all. I feel like I failed to protect my baby. What if I hadn't tripped? It's been very hard for me to let go of this baby. I'm in therapy and my therapist is kind and patient. She has suggested that I think of ways I want to honor this child. She said it's healthy to not want to forget and move on, but I need to find a way to honor her and keep her memory alive that doesn't consume me. I definitely think she's right and have been looking at tattoo ideas and jewelry I can have made. My dad has a lawyer ready to help me with the divorce process, but I haven't filed. My mom cares a lot and keeps trying to suggest old childhood friends or her friends' sons for me to talk to and get my mind off things. I don't think I could ever be in a relationship again. I feel numb and broken and like a huge piece of me is missing. I have been working for the past 2 weeks and am planning on moving out. I feel like I'm burdening my parents with my problems. They fuss over me and are sometimes over the top sensitive. My brother was watching a movie where a character was giving birth and they made him turn it off even though I wasn't in the room. I don't want to disrupt their lives and I feel so bad that they have to comfort me. I don't want to be hugged or constantly checked in on. I'm not trying to be ungrateful, I just feel like it all doesn't help. The random tight hug and "are you okay?" are constant reminders of what happened. I'm trying to keep going, I'm trying to do my best, but I feel so empty and unhappy. Sometimes I wish I had bled to death in that bathroom. Sometimes I wish I had left the blood and left him before he had the chance to abandon me. So many regrets and scenarios play out in my mind. I often feel my mind heavy with dark thoughts and think I'd be better off dead. It's tough, but I'm going to try to keep moving. My heart just feels so heavy all the time. I know it's not much of an update, but this is where I am. The next one is titled, I Ada for refusing to make dinner for my mill? My husband had a serious injury weeks ago. He's bedridden and his family come to see him every day. Mill keeps drilling what I need to do to make my husband comfortable but does nothing to help. Just visits every day and sits around expecting to be fed and entertained. Sometimes Bill, his wife and kids join them and turn the house into a mess. Yesterday Mill, her husband and son came again. They checked on my husband then went to sit in the living room for hours. I served them coffee and croissant. Hours later my husband threw up again. Second time. I had to take care of changing his clothes and cleaning the sheets to avoid infections. I was exhausted. I came downstairs, and Mill looked at me and asked, "Hey, where's our dinner?" I was shocked that after seeing me go up and downstairs many times and cleaning and bringing new sheets and running the washing machine that she'd expect me to prepare dinner. I'd already eaten a sandwich at 6 and yogurt. I have problems with my stomach and stress and pregnancy made it worse. I'm 4 months in. I pointed at the kitchen and told her to help herself out. She gave me a look then said she didn't expect me to ask her to cook dinner at my house. I said I didn't expect her to ask me to cook dinner while I'm taking care of her son. She started arguing about the way I spoke about my husband saying as his partner, "This is the least I could do," and called me unhinged for throwing in her face that I'm helping my husband. She got her husband involved, asking what his thoughts were on me making guests go hungry and forcing them to cook themselves when this supposed to be my duty as a host, homeowner. Phil said they could order food and call it a day and yelled at my younger Bill to stop playing on his phone and order food. But Mill got mad and lashed out, criticizing me, saying I wasn't up to the challenge of taking care of my home and my guests like an adult. I lost it on her and told them to leave since she kept yelling, disrupting my husband's sleep. She left after saying she felt sorry for her son and grandbaby with an aggressive wife and a mother like me. She told everyone, and my older Bill said he understood I'd a lot on my plate but lectured me about how I should have respect for his mom, who was a guest. Repeatedly saying if that was his wife she wouldn't have acted this way. And that I shouldn't use taking care of my husband against them. He asked me to apologize but I didn't. Info. My husband suffers from 2 major injuries, and he's got a long recovery ahead. Right now, there's so much pressure to take care of him while keeping up with house chores and work. My mom and sister help but not Mill. She claimed that when I told them to leave I was refusing to let her see her sick son, but I'd never do that. I lost a loved one before seeing them, so I understand her fear, but Bill thought that was my goal. A user in the comments said, NTA. Don't let them in anymore. Or give them strict visiting hours and kick them out when they're done. They are real Oz for sitting on their asses all day at your house expecting to be waited on. Their dinner wasn't in the kitchen at your house, it was in the kitchen at their house. It's not your responsibility to feed unwanted and unhelpful guests. Another user said, no, NTA. She's the A. This isn't the 1950s anymore. Gender roles are not the same. Seems like your hubby's family has yet to catch up, but that's not on you. I'm curious if your husband would have put his foot down if they dared said that in front of him. But good on you for sticking up for yourself. The next one is titled, I Ada for bringing my own food to my MIL's house because she doesn't care about my allergies? My Mill hosted a barbecue at her house last weekend. I have several serious food intolerances, as well as food allergies, so I have to be very careful when I am eating food I have not prepared or if I do not know what is in it. My Mill is very aware of my food allergies, intolerances, lactose intolerant, egg allergy, shellfish allergy, strawberry allergy, and has been for the 22 years that we have been married. My Mill is one of those people who believe that you eat what is served or you do not eat, and that food allergies are something that people make up in their heads. I asked her what she was serving at the barbecue to see if there would 1. Be anything I could eat and 2. If I needed to be concerned about anything she was serving. Most of everything that she was planning to serve contained something that I could not eat. This is not the first time that she has served food that I was unable to eat. At Thanksgiving 2 years ago, the only thing I could eat were the dinner rolls and the salad. She got super offended that I did not eat and called me overdramatic. If I eat before I go, and do not eat anything, she guilt-trips me and tries to get me to eat. So, this time, I discussed with my spouse the possibility of me bringing my own food to MIL's house. They agreed with me that it was a good idea but warned me not to let Mills see it. I brought 2 small containers to the barbecue in a cooler bag and put it under my chair. When it was time to eat, I quietly served myself from the containers and put my plate on the table. When my Mill saw that I was eating food that was different than everyone else, she immediately got upset and told me how rude I was to bring food. I explained to her that nothing she was serving was food I could safely eat, and she went on about how I always have to make myself the center of attention. My spouse told Mill that she has known for almost 2 decades that I had food allergies, so it should not shock her that after years of being unable to eat at family gatherings, I would bring my own food. Phil then got up and told us both we were being rude and disrespectful to Mill as she has spent tons of money and time preparing for this barbecue. Spouse grabbed our things and we left after a few more choice words with their parents. Our phones have been blowing up non-stop, some people agreeing that Mill was overreacting. Others think I should have eaten what I could out of politeness or eaten before I came. I'm really torn and upset. I did not mean to cause drama, and I am hurt that spouse is arguing with their parents. I did not mean to offend Mill, and certainly not ruin a barbecue. I ate a for bringing my own food to MIL's barbecue? A user in the comments said, NTA. There's no winning here. Your Mill knows she can make you seriously sick with the food the serves and has known for 2 decades. She complains when you eat before you come. She complains when you only eat what's there that you can eat, and she complains when you bring your own food. And I'm sure she'll absolutely make a martyr of herself if you opt not to turn up at these family events. You've got a good spouse there. It seems like well past time for a long talk about just how much contact y'all should have, individually and collectively, with your in-laws. Another user said, NTA. She would have been offended, no matter what. If she invites you and has known about your allergies, she needs to provide something you can eat, or STFU when you don't eat, or bring something that you can eat. It's not hard to be a considerate host, she's just doing it on purpose. This is the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed the relationship stories. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video and write a comment. I really appreciate your support and it helps my channel so much. Thank you.